Hey guys, and welcome to a new video on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be expanding on a video I did a couple of weeks ago regarding the binding contracts. Now certain monsters for the binding contracts have got really high in price lately, so I just wanted to go over them. And as I promised in the last video as well, I'm just going to quickly show you how I make up to about 5k binding contracts per hour using the Tavali summoning method. Now if you have been enjoying my videos lately, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. We're getting very, very close to our next goal of 800 subscribers, and again thank you all for the support in the previous videos. I really do appreciate it. So let's get started anyway. So just to go over some quick facts about binding contracts, you only need level 1 summoning and to unlock binding contracts through the Daxten Wai mystery, which is in the Zamorak side of archaeology dig sites. Now to do a binding contract as well, you will need the Slayer level equal to the pouch you're going to make. So a quick example will be for Hellhounds. Hellhounds, you need 45 Slayer and 45 summoning to be able to make the binding contract. But to make actual binding contracts themselves, you just need level 1, which is why we can stop at a very low level. To make one binding contract, you're going to need a blue charm, an empty pouch, 2 blood of Orcus, 2 hellfire metal, and 200 spirit shards as well. Now to do this, you want to make sure you're taking the items noted to the summoning obelisk. Everything else you can buy from the shop. I'm just going to take out 200 blue charms, and I'll meet you in Tavali with the other items ready to get going. So this method also works very well for normal summoning as well. Don't get me wrong, you will lose a bit of GP just by selling to the store. But compared to the XP rates and the sheer amount of extra summoning pouches you can make per hour, the XP definitely outweighs the small amount of GP that you'll lose. As well, this method is insanely great on a bonus XP weekend, so if you are planning to do summoning training on a bonus XP, I would highly suggest training here. Sometimes you can get lucky and people will put portable banks down as well, so rather than converting your pouches to scrolls, you can just bank the pouches instead. So this is the NPC you're going to be using, Mage Stick. So I'm just going to buy some pouches off him. So basically what you can do with Mage Stick as well, you can actually sell your items. And this is where you'll lose the money. By selling and buying back, you'll lose a little bit of GP as well. Now, if you were to go mad and sell them all at one big go, you do run the risk of actually losing your items if someone's on the world as well. So I only ever do it in 100. I do it in 100 item segments just because it gives me a chance to make sure that I don't lose all my items. So what you can do is 12 of one, and you can do that of the rest. You will have an odd number, but you will replace that with binding contract. And yeah, that's how you can do so many binding contracts per hour. Now you can be pretty even. So what I do, I just do 10 and then do 1 in 1. And it's all sort of like getting a rhythm. Once you're in a rhythm and you've got a decent sort of scope of it, it is actually pretty chilled out. So yeah, I'm going to make these pouches and then I will be back with a update and where we're going to go and make these pouches into. So yeah, I'll finish all these pouches just so I've got some to go and kill these monsters with. And once I'm all done, I'll come back to let you know which monsters we're going to kill. But as you can see, I'm pretty much withdrawing just 10 of each and making the pouches pretty easily. Now, when doing binding contracts for sheer profit, you need to count in the time you're going to be using here. Now, you will have to factor in the cost you're going to do to actually make the pouches, but you also need to sort of include the time you're going to do to make the pouches. So doing them on a method like here, where you're making them a lot quicker than the other alternatives, that's where you're going to try and get the most profit possible and hopefully reduce the amount you're spending as well. So as you can see there, from the 100, I should have got 50 pouches, but I only got 49. Again, you're going to be making that many pouches with binding contracts and that much profit with binding contracts. With how quick that took to make us, it's definitely worthwhile doing. So that's what I would do either way. But yeah, I'll finish these up and I will come back to you. So that is the end of making the pouches. I've lost 5 pouches worth of binding contracts for using the shop. But just with the speed of how I've been able to make the binding contracts, it's definitely worth it to me. If it isn't to you, by all means, run them to the shop, but it will take a lot longer as opposed to using the Tavali method. Again, if you're going to do summoning training as well, please look into the Tavali method. That can be a lot quicker, especially if you're doing things with low cost secondaries. Now talismans are quite cheap as well. I would even do it for blues, but just whatever works best for you as well. You are risking the 20% buff from the elf boost as well, which for me, the speed is worth it, but it might be different for you as well. Right. So both of these monsters we're going to go and look at are weak to range. So let's just quickly go and get a range setup. Again, you know what works best in terms of your setup. I'm just going to take a random setup of gear just because I know I can kill them. So I will always take Excalibur. I will take some overloads, not an invo. 2 overloads as food. I'll take a binding contract, and most important, along with binding contracts, you need to bring magic note paper, because that's how you're going to note it. A fairy ring is good for this one as well. So the first one we're going to go and look at is Water Fiends. Water Fiends used in archaeology, so they have got to market and definitely got a very decent price. I'll just check the price actually on the GE. So we're going to go and look for this one. We're going to find Water Fiend. So that's 75k per pouch. And in terms of how much you're paying per pouch as well, I will just check there we go. So 9.5k for the Blood of Orcus, so that is going to be 19k, and just under 10k each for the Hellfire, that'd be 20k. So I think roughly all in, you're about 40k per pouch, so you're pretty much doubling your money from the Water Fiends. So quickest way to get to Water Fiends. So the quickest way to get to Water Fiends is through a fairy ring. Here I've got a portable fairy ring. I'll just pop in the code, which is BJQ. Again, these won't be too much drama. Overload. And as you can see as well, Water Fiends have had a nice graphical update, so they look pretty good. And then yeah, pretty much Soul Split, Penance, just get your health back as well. These can hit a little bit as well, and it can be a little bit painful, so definitely have forms of healing. Excalibur, Bunyip, Soul Split, maybe even Vampirism rather than Penance, and just use Penance Powder. It's really up to you, but just make sure you've got enough methods of healing because these will hit quite hard. They are very good for charms, so that is good, and they do pretty much die very quick. Sometimes get these for a Slayer task, so like I did with the previous episode, if you got these for a Slayer task, definitely take some binding contracts. It's another way for you to make a little bit more money out of Slayer. But that's pretty much Water Fiends, nothing too intense, nothing too hard. We'll go back to the bank when these two are dead. But yeah, this is the Ancient Cavern. There's plenty of other places to kill them. This is where I do, it's quite close to a fairy ring. Graphical updates as well are very nice, and we'll just teleport out. In terms of other drops, nothing too major with Water Fiends. It's mainly the charms and the pouches. So just to show they will sell for a price, I'll put them 5% under. Right, so the next one, I've never really killed this monster before because they're still very, very new. Now we're going to kill Blood Reavers. Blood Reavers are the new sort of improved version of like a Bunyip and Unicorn. Very good for healing and very good for sort of PVM tiers. As you see from there, 112k per Blood Reaver as well. So quite a very good price. You probably make about 6k per profit per pouch. And if you can kill them quick enough, which hopefully we can, that is where you'll rack some money up very quick. You'll be killing these in the next encampment just before you go into the boss room. So you're going to need a next item just so they're not aggressive. If they are aggressive, that's what's going to cause you a lot of pain while waiting there as well. Now you've got a couple of options really. Range is sort of the best method to kill them, but I'm just going to see if I can wear... Yes, so for me, I'm going to use the Shard of Zaros. If you've done this from one of the God Wars quests, this will protect you from God Wars because it counts as a sort of next item or a Zaros item, which means you're protected from all the gods. If you do not, you can use a version of Nexus Armors. You can use a Zarite Bow, or Pernix, or Vertis, or Torva, and again, you'll be fully protected. Any form of sort of the Nex Armors or this Shard is the best way to protect yourself. I'll go for the Shard because it's linked to a very sort of big storyline and a very good quest in RS as well. So I'd definitely do that if that is an option. Now, the quickest way to actually get to this is, turns out you can't go through a big door if you've gone from the portal. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and teleport quickly to Sara and then run across and enter the door via the main way. As you can see as well, those Water Fiends pouches are selling. So they were always going to sell, it's just what sort of price it will sell at. So I need to find Commander Ziliana. There she is. As you can see, I can run through because I have the Zaros protection. Right, so the big frozen door here is what is linked to Nex. Again, if you've not been to Nex before, you will need to get the frozen key. Once you've got the frozen key, you can unlock the frozen door. We will fly through, and then we will then go down the stairs. Then go through the frozen doorway. Now, one thing you need to be careful of is using area of effects abilities because you are going to get aggression from everything else. Now, because I won't be here long, I'm actually going to use Greater Ricochet. But as you can see, the Blood Reavers here are dotted round, but there's not an awful lot of spawns. You've got two here, and one there, and one there. They are weak to range as well, but if you're going to do something like Greater Ricochet, which I am going to do now, you are basically going to get the attention of a lot of different monsters. She's not got a lot of HP, so it won't take long to get rid of. So if you're really on it as well, and not too bad with the old DPS side, you'll get quite a lot of kills per hour as well. I think the best spot here will be somewhere in the middle because you've got access to the two in the middle, the two in the right-hand side, and also with the range of a ranged weapon, you can tag the other two stragglers as well from the west and east. Again, you can get the attention of the ancient warriors, but as long as you've got Soul Split on, you shouldn't really struggle too much. You will lose your prayer coming down this way, so make sure you've got prayer pots. Make sure you're using things like penance, and make sure you're using overloads to make sure you've got the most DPS possible. But as you can see, in terms of Blood Reavers, they're really not that much grief, and they're really not too bad either. And as I said earlier on, these are 112k per pouch, very decent profits as well. For the amount of effort you're going to take, it's nothing too serious. Now to enter next, I believe it's either 80 base stats or it's either 70 to get the key components and then get into next as well. So this isn't a massively high guide. You don't need a very high level to do it as well. Admittedly, the Reavers will have a Slayer level linked to them, which when I kill these Reaver and this Mage, I will have a look at. So Blood Reaver will require to have 73 Slayer and Summoning to be able to make the pouch. But again, nothing too mad in the requirements for that as well. And for how much profit it can make as well, very, very low requirements. Currently, the wiki values making Blood Reaver pouches through this method at 43.7 mil per hour. Now, obviously as well, you've got to put into context the time it's going to take to make the pouches. Also, Water Fiends are valued at 32.9 mil per hour as well. Again, Water Fiends have slightly less requirements, but I don't think the Blood Reavers are anything too high to be worried about. I'd definitely do the Blood Reavers if I were to make them as well. And don't forget, with Tetra Compasses, you do have a chance of getting binding contracts as well. Make even more money with those, and make sure to do your contracts and do it as a decent monster as well. So that is my guide on 2 more binding contracts and 2 more monsters. Now, I know I went quite in depth on the first guide, but I just wanted to show you that these 2 pouches at the minute are making considerable money per hour as well. What I would always say, check the wiki though, because the wiki does have a calculator between all the different monsters and which binding contracts make most. Please make sure as well, anytime you make binding contracts or do summoning familiars, always try and use the Tavali method if possible. Obviously, it's not possible for everyone, but it's so much quicker and it's definitely worth the little bit of GP you're going to lose anyway. But if you have enjoyed the guide, please make sure to like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to much more content in the future, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next video.